Good
Hello.
morning, Ige.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Nancy. Good
Good
morning,
evening.
Anton.
Good evening. And good morning to all the people watching on the live stream and especially watching on the replay. We have a very special guest, no? And it's our we're talking about the culinary story of the Ige Ramos. So um yes, and if you want to join our discussion this morning, just hop on, put your questions in the comments, join in our discussion. But we're really just decoding what made Ige tick, no? And what were the learnings over the years, and moving forward in this post-pandemic world. So, this is Anton Diaz, founder of our awesome planet, and we have Chef Nancy Reyes Lumen, the adobo queen, and we're talking to Ige Ramos.
Hello.
All right, thank you. And we're here talking to thank you for All right, let's start. Nance,
Yes.
maybe siguro Ige, if can you give a short introduction lang about your story, and then
Okay.
start with the discussion from there.
Ige Ramos, Cavite City, 24. Mabuhay. no, no, I still feel like I'm 24. I'm 58 years old, but I'm actually, I feel so alive in spite of the pandemic. I'm a book designer by profession.
Multi-awarded.
Okay lang yun. I designed about like 300 books already. And then I'm also a food writer. My very first venture as a food writer was when I joined the Rin Fernandez Food Writing Award.
Wow.
And that's the first one. The first time I joined, it was like, I can't remember. It's 2004, I think. And or 2000, I
No.
forgot already.
Mga 2008, mga ganon.
27, mga ganon. 20, basta ang kabatch ko that time, it was a very good batch. I had Dexter Osorio, Joy Subido. Joy Subido became a food writer for Star. And then si Dexter Osorio wrote about, I remember, he wrote about Baklang Alimasag. And then, yung isang kabatch ko din dun sa, I think it was like the 10th Doreen Fernandez Food Writing Award. Si Margot Salcedo, which wrote about, what do you call this? The Nana Meng's chocolate.
Yes.
Tapos, I mean, tapos of course, like the late Christine Nunag of F&B World. And then, sino pa ba? Basta ang dami kami, 10 kami noon na in that batch na first time ever nagkaroon ng 10 finalists.
And FYI, si Christine Nuna got awarded by Reader's Digest, di ba?
Yes, correct. Yeah. She's a fantastic writer. I miss her dearly. So that batch nagkaroon ng career sa food. Halos lahat nung batch na yon, parang naging parang template siya nung what was supposed to happen in the food industry or food publishing and food no. So it's a very very interesting na kasi like I really like all these solitary activities like book design, mag-isa ka lang, writing, mag-isa ka lang. And then you never realize na when you put out yourself, when you out there, people read you, and then people sort of like recognize you, and then yung parang you're always like, in my case, I'm always thrown on the deep end all the time. Walang masyadong like for instance, one of my first cover story, I mean, hindi pa nga ako nagsusulat ng feature article, that time, no, but my articles were mostly, I was encouraged by Jessica Safra to write. Kasi barkada ko yan si Jessica nung 90s. We hang around, like we go to Eraserhead gigs. We go to the readings of Budgetan. You know, even before
Ah,
Trece became Trece,
oo, oo.
I already have copies of Trece in the 90s. I just have to
Ah,
look for it, my copies of Trece, and
oo,
sell
mahal
it
na yan.
probably for no. So I used to write funny things for Jessica, like in Ukay Ukay. It's
Hmm.
called Ukay Ukay in Flip magazine. No? So medyo ayoko nang balikan yung ganung writing. Kasi hindi naman sa nahiya ako, but you know, like, I mean, of course, like you were younger then.
Yes.
And then, it dawned on me, yung that time, I was like, parang there's a disconnect, no? There's a disconnect on society, on food. And you have to imagine first. I live in a very comfortable environment, and then I used to have an office in Intramuros, which is a very very nice office, very comfortable environment office. And then eventually things didn't work out, so I have to close the office and then eventually look for a job. And I became art director, like for no no for a magazine called Cocoon.
Hmm.
So
Nagkukun ka pa pala.
Cocoon magazine, imagine. So si Talma San Juan, no? But during that period, let's go back like 2008, 2007. I was commissioned by my first cover story on Cavite. I was commissioned by Mickey
Hmm.
Phoenix to write the cover story on Cavite when she assumed the post of, after all my, she became the editor-in-chief of Food Magazine, no?
Oo,
Si
food.
Mickey.
Yes.
And nung food, no? So it became like regional cuisine. Fantastic. I love the idea. And I wrote Cavite. So parang kinabahan ako kasi parang, oh my God, I'm writing this. And then, if you remember, Nancy, we have a book together earlier than that, because I was already doing Cavite, which is the Ajinomoto Umami book.
Talaga?
And I was like, wala pa akong byline na Ige Ramos. Like I was like using my real name, Guillermo Ramos. So Sid Reyes and Nancy actually commissioned me to write about Cavite and Southern Tagalog. So parang, my God, pag ngayon ko gagawin yan, I wouldn't have the energy. But during that period, my God,
Mhm.
like, if you're young, like you're 28 years old, and you're like, like you can move heaven and earth. It's fantastic, no? And and you can write like nonstop. You can write like 4,000, 5,000 words in one sitting. And I actually miss that kind of energy writing. So no, so quietly I was like doing the magazine for Telma, and then suddenly, because during that time on the side I was doing cookbooks, I was designing books. Si Beth Romualdez naman, si Tita Beth, because Tita Beth Romualdez is our like resident cook in resident chef in Cocoon.
Mm.
Parang she has her own column in the magazine on cooking, and I was art directing all her stuff, and she was so happy with her, no, she was happy for her yung mga outcome nung you
Yung
know
shoot.
nung mga shoot, tapos
Oo.
like even the style of recipe writing. I'll tell her, Brett, can we do this instead of this? Tapos, ay, oo nga, no, sige, ganyan. No, kasi we have to make it shorter. Ganyan. Tapos, hindi ko alam, I was investing na pala on her because she was like the vice president of Fustans that time.
Ah, talaga?
Yeah, and eventually, and then I got this call, and she said, Ige, why don't you bid for a magazine? What magazine? Like for Rustans, like give me a concept, give me like this, give me like that, and then give me a budget, and then ako naman, yung mga ka-team ko sa sa Cocoon, "Hoy, I'm being asked by Rustans to bid for a project," and like, ay nako, lahat sila ganyan, very very skeptical, very so so magkano babayaran natin? Art director, sabihin ko times, like ano ba yung rate? Times 2 natin lahat, ganun. Taasan natin yung sweldo natin. So so without realizing it, so I thought of a concept. It's called Sans Rival.
Ikaw
It's a
pala
dessert.
yun. Okay.
So I thought of a concept, Sans Rival, tapos nung presentation meeting, sabi ko, bakit Sans Rival? Tinanong sa akin ng marketing manager, bakit Sans Rival yung naisip mo? Because yung other competitors daw, like ang present taste, flavors of the world,
Generic.
very sabi sa akin, bakit Sans Rival? Kasi yung Rustans, hindi kayo number 1 eh. You're the only one. So, kasi kung number 1 ka, may number 2, tapos pwede kang mahulog sa number 3. Pero kung yung Sans Rival, unique ka, ikaw lang yon. Tapos, I didn't realize, like, I was like already developing yung parang yung growth ko as a designer, as a writer, and then it became an editor-in-chief of a consumer service publication. Lahat yun parang it connects the dots eh. Parang hindi siya parang hindi siya arbitrary na nangyari lang.
Oo, parang you can connect the dots, no?
Like I never dream of being an editor-in-chief of a consumer service publication. It's far from it. I mean, I was never really ambitious. I just have to do the things that I have to do.
Yes.
Follow instructions from my boss, and then sharing. And basically what happened between me and Beth, parang we became such good friends during the Cocoon days that she actually trusted me. Kasi nga, parang tatawag siya, Ige, gusto kong gumawa ng osobuco, pero hindi ko, paano ko papalitawin yung buto, tsaka yung may butas sa lagyan na lang natin ng styrofoam yung ilalim, tapos yung mga gano'n, like yung mga para umangat. So we're like thinking of ways, and then I developed a very good relationship with my associate editor, and then I always admit if I made a mistake. We all make mistakes. My God, yeah. like ang dami-dami kong pagkakamali, pero magsasorry kagad ako. Ay, sorry. Like even to my subordinates, like when I was like editor-in-chief. Ay, naku, sorry. I'm like that eh. I'm not like yung parang hindi ako yung boss na nag-shut up, na shut down, you close your doors or
pero Ige, before we continue, I'll say hi lang to Wyatt watching.
Hi, Wyatt.
Hi, Wyatt.
And buenos dias to Bernie.
Hi, Bernie. He's from Cavite State University.
Talaga?
Tapos may nagpapa-shoutout din, Nancy.
Sino?
Teacher ko sa ISCAM.
Ay, sino?
Guess who?
Chef Joey.
Chef Joey Herrera.
Nandiyan?
Wow,
Chef Joey. Daw. Ay, tsaka si Kushong Zuole. Siya yung tutor ko ngayon kasi I'm taking up food anthropology.
Oo. Tsaka, ito pa si Vic Palarca.
Yeah, si Victor Palarca. He's, yan yung mga natin, yung mga kasangga natin. He's from Region 10 naman. Yung mga he wants to be a food writer as well. He produced,
So Ige, pinag-usapan nga namin ni Nancy, pinasikat mo yung Cavite, and we really wanted to know what happened there. Di ba, Nancy? What do you think? Ano bang ginawa ni Ige sa Cavite, Nance?
I think ang una was he put a face in Cavite. Kasi like me, Ang naalala ko lang, Puerto Azul ba yun? Na
Puerto
wala
Azul.
naman. Tapos yung traffic, maliliit ang kalye. Tapos maraming matatapang na tao doon. But then he personalized Cavite for a lot of us using his pen and using his speaking ability. Kasi you should know that si Ige has a good command of Tagalog. Malalim
Ayan.
ang Tagalog yan.
Kaya nga si Marinerong,
siya.
tingnan mo, may comment si Marinerong Kusinero watching from Miami.
Ayun.
Isang pagpapugay.
Tinaguriang kung mandirigmang kusinero and
Ayan.
salamat. Kilalang adobo.
Thank you.
Salamat po.
Salamat.
Oo. So, yeah, I mean, single-handedly, no? I think you've raised Cavite. So, paano ba nangyari 'yon?
It's in between no. So before I started Sans Rival was like a 5.5-year gig. And prior to that, I was already writing for Bandera. I have a weekly column called Bandehado. So, alam mo, sabi ko,
Totoo yan? Hindi yan?
yes!
Tagalog!
May blog ang Bandera. So, I was writing for Bandera even before the blog happened. So, I was like writing about carinderias, and then eventually I get invited to different gigs. Like si Angelo Comsti brought me to Isabela, so I wrote about the different kakanins of Isabela, different sa Bandera. So, yung parang during that time, I wasn't Crustans yet. I wasn't the Ige that people knew. So I was just on weekends I would go home to Cavite and travel around Cavite and write about this. Write about it, no? So nag-iipon talaga ako ng materials about Cavite. And some of the materials it ended up in Bandera. Tapos naisip ko, parang okay, what I can do is share Cavite to other parts of the region. Tapos ano ba yung parang even before ang pangalan nito? Even before Facebook happened, sabi ko siguro there should be a connection or ito yung simula nung aking comparative gastronomy issues studies na ano yung similarity ng Ilonggo and Caviteño cuisine. So tapos meron tapos ano yung let's say when I was in Baguio I wrote about Canyao and the food of the Cordilleras for the people in Bacolod to read about it, to know about it. Kasi ang laki ng circulation ng bandera sa Vismin eh.
Mm-mm.
So when I walk around the markets of Bacolod, kilala ako. So nagugulat na lang ako. I was in Aninii, in Aklan. Doon ako sa palengke. Biglang sabi nga na, Kuya Igi. Sabi ko, ba't kilala niyo ako dito? Yung pala, because of bandera. So may ganun palang may ganung parang sasabi ko nga one time when I did a taping with Boy Logro, sabi ko, oy, Kuya Boy, I want to be like you when I grow up. Ay naku, wag. Kasi puputaktahin ka ng mga fans. Ayaw mo nun.
Okay.
Ngayon, meron akong security, 4-4. So from that part, so I stopped writing for Bandera, became full-time with Rustans. And then, noong 2016, I decided, okay, I'm not going to look for a job anymore. I will concentrate on Cavite. So I started digging up all my writings and revisit all the people. I had para mga small food tours. Tapos, one time, I had this fantastic idea. Sabi ko, what if I do a food tour, pero DIY? Kasi hindi ko kaya mag-isa.
Oo.
I've been telling people that, to curate food tours pero I mean, it takes a lot of tours takes a lot of
mahirap.
yung mahirap talaga. So nag-isip ako, since there's Facebook, sabi ko, okay, let's do parang gagawa ko ng food tour. Ang title ng tour, Sampala ng Side Mirror sa Cavite.
Totoo ba yan?
Yeah, I mean, look for it in like, I'm sure it's still alive. So, that was like in May 2016 or 17. Tapos, yung parang, kasi I go to Cavite practically every other day, or every 2 days, kasi especially when my mom was like, she was in her 90s, I go home, I mean, kasi from Ross Boulevard, from where I live, it's only like 25 minutes via Coastal Road. Sa bahay na ako. Like, rather than going to Quezon City na it takes you hours. Ito, ang bilis ko. 16 minutes na sa Aguinaldo Shrine ako. So, it's like home. Ang bilis. So sabi ko, gawa kaya ako ng So, every time I'm in Cavite, I geotag all my suki. Kasi nandun lang sila every time. Like the bibingkoy vendor, the ganyang vendor. And then I go around Cavite. Like, aside from Cavite City, I go to the Dasma, in Dasmariñas, in Lasal Dasma. I go to Tagaytay. I go to Silang. I go to Mendez. I go to everywhere, Rosario. And geotag everything. Kasi you can geotag na like using your iPhone. So I put on the coordinates where to find these people, so that kasi lahat naman may Waze or merong anong pangalan nito? Satnav. Satnav. I mean, my God, before iPhone, di ba may Satnav na tayo? So
sa car.
yung Garmin. Anyway, so you just like type in those things. Sabi ko, ito pala pwedeng gawin. So sampalan ng side mirror sa Cavite. So ang dami-daming nagtatanong, like, how can we avail of your tour? Sabi ko, this is it. You just have to click on this, and then ito na yung sundan nyo sa Waze niya. Okay. And then this is what you will order. So parang during that time, I was like thinking of a blog about this tour. But sabi ko, ang dami-daming registration, blah, blah, blah. You have to download yan. Facebook na lang.
Insight. I think ang nangyari, dahil the connection of Ige with the tourists is that he brought them to the gut, dun sa bituka mismo.
Bituka.
Oo, sa bituka talaga ng palengke, di ba? Hindi yung overview na dadaan ka sa ganito, ang ganda ng
Hindi siya beauty contest.
Yes.
Kundi ito yung real
Yeah. Pupunta ka doon, andun yung mga may nakachinelas, may nakapaa, may walang shirt, nagbubuhat ng mga kung ano-anong mga kahoy, di ba? So ito yung bituka, the way people would like to go. Kasi it's not actually a tour, it's an adventure.
It's an experience.
Yes.
So, parang dun ko na-discover na parang there's a new brand of economics aside from industrial and agricultural. No? Ito yung experience economics, which I actually learned when I was studying managing the arts program sa AAM. No? So, merong yung tinatawag na experiential economics na you don't have to buy products or stay in a luxury hotel, but what you pay for is the experience. So parang naging yon. So sabi ko, yung tourism, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to build all this like mega superstructure, infrastructure, malls. Syempre, I mean, I have to thank like the malls who also sponsored me in the past, no? Hindi ko naman sila pwedeng But by showing yung showing like what I did for yung yung showing the palengke, let's say showing yung
Hindi, pero question ko, Ige, before you continue that thought, why did it work? Because Cavite is known for actually history, di ba? I mean, Independence
yeah,
Day. It was never known for palengke, and palengke is everywhere, di ba? I
yeah.
mean, so I was really wondering, why do you think it worked, no? Particularly for Cavite. But before you answer that, let's say hi. Marami nagko-comment sa iyo eh. Si June and good morning, Sir Ige Ramos, ang
Hi, June.
tagapag-ugnay ng pagkain at kasaysayan. Vicky De Gia Santero, rich in cultural history, and of course, Bernice Lopez, food and culture. So,
Yes.
I think
Melting pot.
you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Ige? Parang
Yeah, yeah.
paano nag-work? I mean, a lot of provinces are trying to do that now, but why did it work for Cavite? Or
Okay,
for what you
syempre
did?
yung background ko is a consumer service publication, no? So I have to communicate what the market is selling. So
Mhm.
after 5 years of doing like promoting like foie gras and caviar and all the shubligs, so sabi ko, why? So I went back to Cavite and like, okay, I'll promote the unique products of Cavite, like bibingkoy. Ano ba meron kami na wala yung iba? So we have a market that's the a working market, and
Mhm.
people are so nice, and practically lahat ng mga tao doon suki ako, sila ano. So may mga nandun pa rin yung mga gumagawa nung makikita mo ngayon sa Facebook, artisanal, local, mga ganun-ganon. So sabi ko, putya, artisanal fermentation. Tagal na, bata pa ako, ginagawa na namin yan, kinakain ko na yan. So, souring agent. Meron kaming special souring agent sa pansit namin, which is puso ng saging cooked in vinegar. So these are like the unique things. So, syempre, nung nasa Cavite ako, I see it through the lens of a local na hindi ko pa siya nako-compare or I haven't experienced anything like it. Yung parang for you it's palasak, regular, parang commonplace. Pero once I was out of that milieu and then work in a different strata and came back, so parang I look at it on a different lens.
Wait,
And
I think it has to do also, Ige, with your style. Hindi yung hysterical. Hindi yung, hi, it's so nice. Ay, ang
Hindi
ganda
galit.
doon. Ay, naku, si Aling ganito, ganyan, ganyan. Hindi. It's so very natural. Kaya,
Hindi siya galit.
parang, oo, hindi siya excitable, hindi siya fake, hindi siya plastic. So, I think important yon kasi yung mga taong kinikwento mo, hindi rin sila plastic.
Yeah.
Totoo sila. So, dapat maging totoo ka rin. Diba?
So,
kumasya ka eh. Nag-ano ka eh. Swak na swak ka doon.
Nag-dovetail talaga.
Oo. Sa palengke ka talaga.
Oo, palengkero talaga. I mean, it's actually very, very interesting kasi when my partner and I travel, so we in 2016, just before I think mga 2015, 2016 yeah. We traveled to Cartagena, the Indias in Colombia. And then of course like the very first thing I look at, takot nga yung yung partner ko. Ano ka ba? Sa Colombia tayo. Huwag kang ikot-ikot dyan. Baka mamaya kidnapping ka ng mga cartel. Ganun. Oh my God. Like, like, I grew up in Cavite. What's to be? So I blend well with the Colombians, so I can speak Spanish. Hola, ¿qué tal? Mga ganun. So I went to the market of Cartagena de India. And guess what? They have kaimito, they have papaya, they have palenqueras. The palenqueras are women vendor. So sabi ko, wow, shit, ang galing. Parang we share this common culture. So, yun, that's so when I came back, sabi ko, maybe we can like yung parang like journalist, no? Yung journalism practice na let's look for an angle when we can present. It's not necessarily propaganda, but looking at an angle that's honest and true, that's brave. So sabi ko, kaya yung nung sinulat ko yung Republic of Taste, The Untold Stories of Cavite. Ang ano ko it's always strong, brave, and true. So yung matapang, and then malakas, tsaka makatotohanan. So meaning you don't put a veneer of polish over over that situation. You take the people for what it is, no? So yung one of the eye-opening parang food tour I did was when I brought the members of the Culinary Historians of the Philippines. 25 of us, sila Pia Lim, sila Nina Dasa. So
Yes.
so all these the titas of Manila, so like 25 of them. And I brought them to the market, so explained to them the zones of the market, and then brought them to introduce them to patis alamang, then the sukang sasa, the sukang kaong, and then the quesillo, the white cheese, and they were so excited. And we have 1.5 hours of shopping and eating. And each one of them spent at least 2,000 pesos each. And that's like 50,000 pesos in 1.5 hours contributed to the local economy. And then after that, I talked to the mayor and the vice mayor. Sabi ko, maybe we should do this regularly for Cavite. We can invite people from outside, because I mean, Caviteños are very, very honest. When they see a car or a tourist or pareho yung presyo. Hindi sila nagtataas ng presyo.
That's
unlike
nice.
when you go out elsewhere, let's say for instance, I mean, it's true, no? It's happening to me, no? Careful. No, like certain markets in, let's say, Tagaytay. Or like in Mahogany Market. I mean, okay. I mean, pag ako, may kilala ko gumagawa, pagbili ng kape, ano ka, but 120 per kilo, 75 lang yan, ha? Uy, sir naman, ganyan. Kunyari. Season ng kape ngayon. Alam ko, sobre yung kape mo ngayon. Meron surplus. 75 lang yung, tapos pagdating ng mga turista, 150 na yung per kilo. So, in Cavite, if the patis costs 40 pesos to the local, it's 40 pesos for you. So, that's like, so sabi ko ganon, if the, sabi ko, why am I doing this? Kasi nga, it's good for the economy. It's good for the local economy. Because number one, they're not gray market. These are artisanal people. They make their own cheese. They make their own noodles. They make their own, they plant their own vegetable. They sell it in the market. And sabi ko, wag niyo nang tawaran. Kasi mura na yan eh. So when that time, like when sila Nina went shopping, like the group from sila Reggie from the Culinary Historians of the Philippines, parang na-realize ko, my God, this is what I really wanted to happen, to elevate the lives of these people and their works to be appreciated. Kasi it's the appreciate. I mean, the reason why these artisanal, they're like artists. They stick to the traditional way of making burong mustasa, the traditional way of making bagoong, the traditional way of doing all this fermentation stuff, the traditional way of making pansit pusit, and and like during that time, pre-pandemic days, I would eat at Aling Ika's, unfortunately, Aling Lolit passed away, no? The maker of the
yeah.
bibingkoy, no? Last year.
Talaga.
I really feel so sad, no? But pre-pandemic, I would go there on a Saturday morning and have my breakfast of pansit puso ng saging, maasim. Tapos I end up and then I'll balance it with bibingkoy with ginataan, no? And then magkano yung breakfast na yon? 80 pesos. I mean, this is the 21st century and I'm still paying 80 peso breakfast in Cavite. So, I mean, this is like really, really fantastic. And that because they really serve, I mean, the reason why they're there is they serve the community. And then at the same time, they keep the culture, the culinary fires burning, and the culture is intact.
Sino
Hindi
na,
sila,
sino na nga yung nagbabalot sa dyaryo? Binabalot.
yun nga, si Aling Ika. So yung ano, very unique, dahon ng saging, tapos may dyaryo, it's in a cone, tapos igaganon mo yung pangalan nito.
Pansit.
Yung pansit, and then at the same time, after that yung pansit, tapos lagyan ng mga nung saring agent na puso ng saging, may chicharon, tapos babalutin yan.
Oo. What happened to them during the pandemic? Sabi ni Vernie dito, nagsara daw si...
Yes, oo, nagsarado, yeah. Oo, nagsarado sila. Aling Ika is a very, it's part of my childhood because, you know, in Cavite, we have a very small refrigerator growing up. My mom doesn't believe in refrigeration or freezing. So every other day, she goes to the market. And at 5:30 in the morning, karay-karay na ako ng nanay ko sa palengke. Tapos, antok-antok pa ako noon. Tapos gagawin noon, at 6 o'clock, iwanan ako kay Aling Ika while she do the rounds. And then, yung bayong namin, nandun, lagay yung bayong yung nanay ko. Tapos ako, kumakain na ako kay Aling Ika. So that's how I grew up, no? Like eating the food of Aling Ika. And then, tapos yung anak ni Aling Ika, si Bernie, classmate ko nung high school. Ngayon, pari na. So, tapos, I mean, you know, like, there's this connection always na hindi nababale or hindi napapatid.
Yes.
So, and then si Bernie, of course, like with Facebook, tapos Bernie once like on Facebook told me, "Oy, Ige, thank you for promoting nanay, ganun-ganon kasi tuwan-tuwa si nanay pag umuwi ka ng Cavite." Naalala niya because si Bernie ngayon is in Nice, France. He's handling the Filipino parishioners in Nice and in Antibes, no? So, noong 2019, I was able to visit Father Bernie in Nice. He drove me around Cannes, in Antibes, in around the coast, no. So it's very, very interesting to see that kind of na bumabalik ka pa rin, and then I'm trying my best to tell people na like yung may mga kakilala ko sa Manila, malinis ba? Hindi ba nakakadiri? Saan galing yung ice nila? Saan galing yung tubig? So, yung water ba, running water? Sabi ko, hindi, iniigib. Galing sa balon. So sabi ko, I'm still alive, no? So, anyway.
Galing ah. So, what I'm getting, Ige, is the first one is you need to look for something unique, no, in that destination. Second, don't hype it. You know, kailangan should be true to parang hindi hype. You know, dapat
don't
lang.
hype it kasi they were there before even the advent of internet or Facebook or Instagram.
But I guess the other one is that local storyteller, no? I think that based on your story, that is very important.
Yeah.
telling it from the
And
diaspora.
the way you tell the story.
Yes, that's important.
It's very very important the way you tell story. And I don't know, Nancy, if 'di ba nag-judge tayo nun sa mga writing contest?
Hmm.
Oh, any tips? Oh, paano ba? How
Okay.
should you tell the story? Sige.
Okay. Na-notice ko, yung mga writing competition na nag-judge ako like in recently in Quezon City, and then in like yung mga ibang like let's say yung Mamasita, no? It's very interesting. Remember, Nancy, yung parang laging parang kawawa yung the way you tell a story. Ito lang yung ulam namin, ito lang yung, yung parang you're always apologetic about your food, and mahirap lang kami, ito lang yung nakayanan naming lutuin, pero you're talking about pinakbet na kinuha mo dun sa garden mo, na tanim mo dun sa inyong bakura, na meron kang nandun yung talong, yung sigarilyas, yung mga sitaw, yung parang bakit bakit
But kaya
bakit laging, alam mo yon, bakit lagi, explain that to me, Nancy, di ba? Ano yon? Bakit meron pagkaing mahirap sa pagkaing mayaman? Bakit yung pagkaing mahirap is always like, ito lang yung pinitas namin, ganun. Parang hindi ba nila alam na
it is a very church thing, I'm sorry to say, na yung sa simbahan na ako yung humility na mali.
Oo. Yung false humility.
Masamang magyabang. Masamang ipagyabang ang
diba?
sarili mo o yung ano. Dapat iintayin mo yung taong kausap mo ang magsabi. Wag mong uunahan. So,
Yun.
ano lang ho ito ganito lang. Ay, hindi. Parang ginagawa mo. Ay, hindi. Ano nga yan galing nga sa bakuran mo. Ganon. Gusto nila sa iyo manggaling.
Oo, di ba?
Mali.
So ngayon, yung parang I learned like over the years, I learned so many things, no? Like before, yung writing style ko is very much like the cooking of lola, the cooking of nanay, ganon. This is how mommy cooks. Pero when you tell a story, I think wag mo nang lalagyan ng like pwede namang maglagay ng emotion, pero wag mo namang ida-down yung sarili mo na ito lang nakayanan mo, because you really haven't experienced poverty. I've seen poverty like poverty. I mean, I've never experienced it, but I've seen it. Like yung tipong yung poverty talaga is like pagpag. Like the idea of eating parang ito talaga yung forage from the garbage, no, yung pagpag, no. Ito talaga yung poverty. Pero pag ikaw ay taga-probinsya, tapos meron kang may kamatis dun sa bakuran mo, tapos meron kang pumitas ka ng talong, ng okra, ng sitaw. My God, mayaman ka. You're more than fortunate. Like you are like part of that community na super yaman, na hindi mo kailangan ng pera. Parang misplaced kasi yung yung concept of wealth.
But you might also be romanticizing it, Ige.
Yun nga that's the whole point. I don't romanticize, but the whole concept of wealth is sometimes parang misplaced. Let's say, for instance, if I interviewed a lot of OFWs while I'm abroad, no? So their idea of like treat to their kids is buying, I mean, well, this was in the 90s, no? Was buying them spam and taking them to McDonald's. Sabi ko, okay, as a treat, that's fine. But don't forget your everyday food. yung mga pagkain kinagisnan mo. Tapos yung parang may mga kasabihan, let's say in Cavite, kasi yung bahay namin sa Cavite, yung malapit sa dagat, no? It's a fishing, across is already a fishing village, no? Yung part ng Aplayang Munti. So marami kaming kapitbahay na fishermen. That's why siguro humaba buhay ng nanay ko to 97 no, 98. Kasi nga laging sariwang isda yung kinakain niya doon, no? So may mga kapitbahay kami. Halimbawa, may birthday, may fiesta, maghahanda kami, and then it's shared normally to the neighbors. Yung mga neighbor namin sabihin, ay, paminsan-minsan, paminsan-minsan, masarap din na namamantikaan ng aming mga labi. so sabi ko naman, pwede namang mantika ng tuyo, di ba? Yung mantika ng pinagprituhang tuyo, ayoko magaspang yun, tsaka matinik. So iba pa rin talaga yung albaw, yung mantika na galing menudo, na galing hamonado. So,
baboy.
Oo, di ba? So, hindi nawawala yung ganong longing, no, for something. But yung nanonotice ko lang, talagang misplaced lang talaga yung idea of wealth and wealth appreciation. Yung nakikita ko, maraming bagets. Yung aspiration nila. Ako, ang aspiration ko ng 80s, alam mo, di ba?
Ano?
Like growing up in the 80s, like, let's say I was like college. Yung mga pinapanood natin noon, like parang I want to be in New York, I want to be in Studio 54. Yung parang yung pabango mo, Halston, during that time, yung Halston's like, pag pumunta ka sa Rustans, ang Halston is already 3,000 pesos that time, ha? So ngayon, mga 10,000 pesos worth na yon. So, ang aspiration ko is like, I want to be like, I want to go to the States, do yung mga footloose, mga ganyan-ganyan. And I want to experience American food, diners, tapos like yung pag kumain ka sa McDonald's sa Moraita noong 1983 or noong 1980s, di ba? Parang you're transported, feeling mo nasa LA ka, di ba? So may mga ganung
ngayon, ano na ngayon?
Ngayon, like young people they wanted to be Korean looking, nagpaparetoke na ng mukha para maging maputi. I mean, it's no different from the 80s when Pinays wanted to look like Farrah Fawcett or Jacqueline Smith or sporting So natatawa na lang ako when I see like young people like using all these like whiteners and they wanted to be parang Vincenzo, di ba? They all wanted to look like Vincenzo, like the men, Tapos, I mean, that's how culture like we evolve, and of course, like we cannot like avoid those things. But it's important to really go back to where you come from, and really, especially, let's say, for instance, like in Cavite or in other like rural provinces, you cannot really develop it overnight. So, nandiyan na yan, may template na yan. Nandiyan na yung template, nandiyan na yung DNA ng lugar. Let's say, nung isang baryo. You cannot change it Nandiyan na yung DNA, nandiyan na yung So, what you have to do is to really cultivate that and tell the story na para kang anthropologist, no? Na parang kinikwento mo na lang yung storya without putting so many adjectives. So when you write, use a lot of verbs and nouns in your storytelling and less adjectives.
I have a question. Ano ang flavor profile ng Cavite? I know na because malapit kayo sa dagat, maalat. Mapatis, maasin.
Lahat actually.
So ano ang
Lahat.
flavor
We
profile?
embrace everything.
Ang Iloilo matamis, manamis-namis. Diba? Kayo?
Ano, malinamnam.
So, saan nakukuha yung linamnam?
Okay, yung linamnam, let's say for instance, meron kaming dish, no? Namimiss ko na nga to eh. Meron kaming dish yung Tres Marias.
Oh, ano 'yun?
Ito yung yung tatlong dish na yung kare-kare, adobo seca, tsaka kilawin na
Kilawin.
kilawing papaya. So yung kare-kare namin is with tripe, no, or buntot, but mostly tripe tsaka pisngi. And yung bagoong hindi mo hinahalo sa kare-kare, separate siya. So yung bagoong yung kare-kare hindi siya matamis. It's peanut, mane, and paminta.
Okay.
Like our tamales. Our tamales is so different from the Kapampangan tamales. Alam ni Cloud Tayag yan, alam ni Sao, alam ni Jam Melchor, alam ni Sao Del Rosarian. Pinatikman ko sila ng you have to have Kapampangan friends if you want to promote your food, no? Yun yung yun yung like you have to have them. Dapat kakampi mo sila.
Okay.
Hindi mo dapat inaaway. So, yung second is adobo seca. Yung adobo seca is ang paalat niya hindi asin kundi patis. And then hindi toyo but patis and suka, laurel, and the usual, the classic.
Adobo sa patis.
Oo. Tapos yung niya, yung kapartner niya, yung pangatlo, yung kilawing papaya. It's grated green papaya, but it's cooked in char-grilled pancreas.
Now.
So, iihawin mo yung pancreas, yung lapay, didikdikin mo, and then you cook it in vinegar, and then you put the green papaya. It's a mushy gray thing. It's like a condiment. So, ngayon pala naglalaway na ako.
Oo, mukhang sarap pa.
So, mag-shout out ako.
Yan?
Nakakain kay Tita A. So, Tita A, Constantine, kung naririnig nyo ako ngayon, please padala nyo ako ng Tres Marias bago ako umuwi ng Cavite kasi nabubuang na ako at hindi ako makauwi ng Cavite.
Ano yun? Isang family recipe?
Well, it's a typical Caviteño Sunday
celebration.
Sunday lunch. I mean, ito yung typical Sunday lunch, no, na hinahanda pag yung ito yung Sunday roast, no? Like some families would cook puchero, 'di ba? Yung some families will cook something else. Ito very Caviteño. Yung isang Caviteño dish din pag Sunday yung laga, lagang baka. It's like bulalo but we don't call it bulalo but lagang baka.
Oo nga, getting very hungry.
Si Lilo.
Alas 12 na. Wait, so maiba tayo. Thank you for sharing that story. Really interesting. But I wanted to talk to you again about how did you, from, di ba, you said galing ka dun sa mga roles na at the back end and then now you're in the front end. Paano nangyari yon? How did you develop your personal brand, and maybe you could also share you're also kilala as a book designer, pero dati yung mga roles na yun, di ba, parang patagulan na roles yun eh, and then ngayon nasa forefront na. What really happened during
nagtataka nga ako bakit Nancy,
paano ba Nancy? Ano bang mo dyan?
Ano yung take mo? Hindi ko alam
Hindi ka kasi mayabang. Madali kang lapitan.
Yun lang ba yun?
Maarte ka.
Ano ako susceptible ako sa mga user-friendly.
Hindi. Hindi ka mababaw. Malalim ka. Meaning, may dating. May research, may Basta, we learn from you. You don't learn from us. We learn from you.
I learn from people every day. In fact,
fair exchange, di ba?
Oo, di ba? Yun nga, like, I was wondering also, like the past 5 years, parang people were telling me, oh wow, celebrities. Like, parang, celebrity? Like si Tatung one time, you know, si Tatung, we always like chat. Hola, kumusta? Ganyan, parang checking lang. Oh, kumusta na celebrity, ha? Sabi ko, yung celebrity, yung mga sinasabitan ng sampagita, tapos yung mga pinupunasan ng panyo, parang si Nazareno, yung celebrity, yung pag birthday, pinupuntahan sa Quiapo, may pinaparada, di ba? So I mean, I don't know. It's more like I wanted to be parang ang mahalaga sa akin is people can relate to me and people can relate to my writing, to my design. And then it's not important if I'm not known, but my design is known, because that's a mark of a good designer or a good editor. People remember your publication. People remember and not you, no? Like yourself, like you remember Sans Rival and you don't know it was me because and then people remember Governor General's Kitchen because of the design, or people remember Culinaria because of its design, and they don't remember me. So I think it's more of thinking less of yourself and putting more on the work and putting people first before yourself. In fact, I'm not even thinking what did you do to Cavite? You sing it like no. It's just that I parang focus on them, put the spotlight on these people. So I'm just like basking on reflected glory. Di ba? Kasi nga parang nilagay ko sila sa spotlight, like yung parang there's so many like the last 5-6 years, ang dami-daming episodes ng Cavite na lumabas, like started with Nancy, no? And then Nancy was the start, and then of course Boy Logro. The Boy Logro episode was phenomenal. My God, I mean, I cannot even describe to you what happened in the market with Boy. And then you have Sandy Dasa, complete opposite of Boy Logro. Ito mas relax yung kay Sandy. And then si Sharwin T, Chef Sharwin, did an episode on Cavite. So ang dami naming ginawang Cavite episodes, like from bloggers to like Erwan did an episode on Cavite. And ako, for me, you know, I kahit sino, like students would come to me, "Sir, pwede ba naming i-video yung Cavite?" Ay, kailangan yung humingi ng permit. So ako sa Cavite, pag may shoot ako, wala na akong permit. Punta lang ako sa palengke sa admin. Oy, Ate Chuchay, magsi-shooting kami. O sige, sige ka naman eh. So it's parang halimbawa may estudyante from Cavite State University who wanted to shoot. O hindi ka, samahan ko kayo. So whether you're Boy Logo, Erwan Yusuf, a student from a local school, wala akong pinipili. Okay. Lahat kayo pantay-pantay because pare-pareho yung information na yan na dapat umabot sa inyo. So walang first class, second class, third class citizen when it comes to disseminating information. Because at the end of the day, you have a vision, you have a mission to fulfill, which is you try to communicate this kind of culture or you know something. So kaya mo lang ginagawa yon kasi because nga it needs to be done. Yes. Walang agenda. In fact, walang monetization, 'di ba? In fact, yung pati yung mga taga Channel 2, Channel 7, we did a lot of like sila Cara David. Wala, I mean, it's all but I'm not hungry. I still have my income coming in spite of the fact that there's no money. Nagugulat lang ako, like, how do we monetize this? No, you don't think of monetization. You think first of the product. You think first of the idea of the concept, even before you monetize it. It has to reach a certain and that's why when I produced my first book, when I published my book on Cavite, walang like, of course, like I have a business plan.
Yes.
Of course, like any business person, like Nancy, you and me, like Anton, diba? Yung monetization comes later, but it's part of the plan. But it's not the end all and be all. It has to be bigger than money, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to be
Not
bigger
even
than life.
about money.
Oh, I think it's vulgar to talk about money.
Wait, may mga nagko-comment. Sabi ni June, simple but rock.
Oh, diba? Thank you, June.
And tama po kayo. Sige, Sir Ige, dapat walang distinction between pagkain ng mahirap, pagkain ng mayaman. And sabagay maganda tong comment na basking on reflected glory. Correct. And Ige doesn't need to promote himself. I think what I'm learning from you, Ige, is you have to be relatable. But I have a question to that, no? Kasi you don't talk down to people. Hindi ka rin naman maere. You're able to relate. And I think I'm asking that for learning for other people, no? As people develop their personal brand. How do you able to do that? Parang there's only a few people I know na who are able to do that, diba? Parang you can relate to high society, you can relate to mahirap, you can relate to everybody essentially. How do you do that?
I think it's my background kasi I grew up in Cavite. My mom's a public school teacher, and I went to a public school, yung as in free, yung Ladislao Diwa Elementary School. It's a very nice community. I don't have to go to. I never experienced riding a school bus. And half of my classmates growing up in Cavite, walang sapatos, nakachinelas lang talaga. And I never saw it as an impediment. Wala kaming ganung klaseng ay wag kang sasali diyan kasi nakapaa yan, or wag kang sasali diyan kasi nakasapatos yan. So wala kaming ganung klaseng And then since Cavite is a part of an American base in the past, we're exposed to American products, to American culture. So hindi rin kami nahuhuli when it comes to what's fashionable that time. But at the same time, I have classmates na alam mo na they're not yung hindi naman yung like medyo challenging yung buhay nila, and you don't look down on them. In fact you don't pity them, you just help them, you just tell them so wala kaming issue nung like mag-fundraising tayo kay ganyan. No, you just like give. You don't have to announce it. You just give to them, like you share your baon. I have one of my best friends in high school, in elementary. They run a sari-sari store, and then they have and it's challenging, and then they're his mom is a public school teacher like my mom, and we yung naiintindihan namin, like we have like old second-hand bikes that we repair. It doesn't have to be brand new, and parang we learn the value of money and how to manage your wealth, yung wealth management, because hindi siya finite, and then at the same time it's not a be all and end all. So yun, no? So like I can talk to the Tantocos and the Sobel and the Ayalas and the whoever without, feeling insecure. And I can talk to the local, magpuputo, or si Mang Tony na gumagawa nung suki ko, na gumagawa ng patis, or si si Joy na nagluluto sa isang karinderya sa Cavite, na wala akong na hindi ako feeling mataas, na mas nakakataas ako sa iyo. Walang ganung dynamics.
Can I say something? I think ang secret is really you break bread with them. You eat with them. You sit
Correct.
with them at the table, listen to their kwento, salita, ganyan, di ba? By eating with them, it is so Filipino na ayun na agad. You break the barriers. Andun
Yeah.
upo ka, kung nagkakamay sila, magkakamay ka rin.
Oo.
Diba?
Hindi, tsaka siguro I'm a good actor. I can change my accent if let's say, for instance, if I'm talking to the Burgese people like Nancy, hi Nancy, how are you? I can change my accent let's say, for instance, when I was in Leyte, this is like one of the most wonderful experience I had pre-pandemic. I remember this was like November 28, 2019. I was in Pasay, Samar. And I experienced a wonderful, wonderful thing. Kasi ito yung part nung immersion ko dun sa experience economics. Yung experience economy pala. And it was a homestay in Pasay, Leyte. And then these are the houses built by UN and by United Nations and yung foundation ni one of those foundations in the States. And ito yung mga nasalanta ng Yolanda.
Yes.
And what I did in this particular barangay I went to the cave, and in this cave they do the most wonderful banig sa Basay. And then they sell the banig for like 1,000 pesos. My God, sabi ko, with all the labor, 1,000 pesos lang. Dapat 12,000 na yan kasi gawa yan ng master. And then I went to stay with the family who are fishermen. Tapos ayun, nagluto kami nung pagkain nila. Tapos yung mga anak nila mahiyain. Tapos I stayed in their house. Natulog ako sa banig. Nagluto kami ng sapsap. Tapos kami. Yung kanin, nilagay namin doon sa banana leaves. Tapos, yun, nagsalo-salo kami. Tapos yung isang anak, syempre, marunong na rin sila mag-Tagalog because of the media, because of what they see on television. But they actually speak Waray and Cebuano. So, yung experience na yun, hindi mo siya pwedeng bilhin. You have to earn it. You have to be invited to do it with them. No matter how much money you have, hindi mo siya kayang yung you just turn up. I want to experience this. Hindi. You have to be invited. So they have to trust you.
Yes.
Yung trust factor nandun, and sharing their food and sharing their So so I think yung isang sinabi nga ni Carlo Petrini, yung founder ng Slow Food, eating local is a political act. So if you eat local, you actually help people parang develop their sense of pride and sense of place. And this is like what I'm actually looking for. So siguro aktivista ako in my heart, but hindi ako yung aktivista na pupunta sa kalye, but pupunta ako sa iba't ibang parte ng bayan just to tell them that you're fine, you're okay, your food is good. Ito yung bagong yung isang sinabi rin ni kaibigan natin si Amor Maclang. Yung sinama ko siya sa Cavite, no? na nagulat siya na meron palang ganito sa Cavite. Sabi niya, Ige, you just let me realize that local is the new premium. So, ako, like, I'm willing to take anyone to Cavite. In fact, people are, hindi naman begging me, but people are asking me, Oy, Ige, kailan mo ako sasama sa Cavite? Ige, we heard so much about Cavite. When are you taking me there? So, because now of that kind of vision and storytelling, so siguro, I was able to put Cavite on the map. Of course, like with the help of my Kapampangan friends, like sila Sao, sila Jam, especially si Cloud. And then of course syempre when I wrote my book on Cavite, yung Republic of Taste, Untold Stories of Cavite Cuisine, strategic alliance with Ambet Ocampo. Ambet Ocampo had to write the forward for my book. Because he's Kapampangan and he's a historian. So, yung joke ko nga sa like yung Cavite, Pampanga is the culinary capital of the Philippines. Di ba lahat yung mga ganyan. Tapos sabihin, lahat mga Kapampangan friends ko, ito yung sagot ko. Sige, Pampanga ng ang culinary capital of the Philippines. Pero kung walang Cavite, walang Republika. Di ba? So ganun lang, like you don't fight fire with fire. You fight with rhetoric and a good debate. So hindi naman yung below the belt. Like you have to when you try to prove your point, huwag ka na magmura. Huwag mo nang yurakan yung puri ng tao. So, tapatan mo na lang ng very like mga witty remarks. Kasi once you start going yung below the belt, kahit inis na inis ka na. Wala, tapos ang usapan. Tapos na ang boxing, 'di ba? So it's better to have like an active discussion and an active debate na positive, na hindi yung parang nagpa-personalan. Like ako, wala. Siguro this is how I survive the business also, because I don't take things personally, and then hindi rin ako na-personal ng ibang tao. So kasi I really noticed, like, not just in gastronomy or culinary, it happens in literature, like I'm also part yung bahagi ako ng yung literary circle, yung cultural circle, yung artistic circle. Makikita mo talaga may mga faction. Hindi natin maalis yan. And since I'm quite new in this circle, like in the culinary circle, mahirap talaga kung merong yung may mga kampi-kampian. You cannot avoid that. It happens. People take side. But the best thing to do is not to be a fence-sitter and show your real color. Ako, they know me. I'm not taking any side, but this is my stripes. I'm showing you my spots. So wala kang diba?
Galing ha. Galing. Walang keme.
Anong keme? Keme. Ito yung pinost ko sa Facebook, chikahan about Lafang. Like, join me on Thursday for chikahan. Sabi ko, hindi masyadong serious.
Oo. Diba? So, ang haba na ng kwentuhan natin. Medyo matagal, matutulog na si Nancy. May last question ka, Nancy? Or anong may natutunan ka ba kay Ige today in our discussion?
Matagal ko nang mahal yan eh. Kaya marami na akong natutunan din. What is your plan for the ito na ngayon, in this next 5 years?
Post-pandemic, ano bang mga plano mo?
Okay, yun nga, I'm coming up with a book. I'll be continuing yung self-publishing.
Yung Maria
So,
Rosa.
this coming June, no? Dapat nga June, my God. Like, we're still trying to to sort things out because of the pandemic, the scheduling, the printing schedule. Coming out with a book called Appetite for Freedom, yung the story of Maria Orosa, no? So I believe Maria Orosa parang predates every foodie and every food personality in the Philippines. In fact, siya talaga yung napupusuan kong maging mother of Philippine gastronomy for the things that she did for the country. And the book, I was given the publishing rights by the Orosa Estate to publish the book. So I designed the book, and then of course, like, I got a team to proofread, to copy edit, and yung doing the recipe testing also, no? And my God, the recipes, almost 700 recipes in the book. She invented all these palayok oven, yung tiki-tiki, yung rice bran, recipes for rice bran. Like 1929 recipe of adobo. Walang toyo, asin lang.
Wala. Asin.
And then asin and suka.
Sa kanya ba yung banana ketchup?
Yes, banana ketchup. She invented them. And 1928 recipe of Roselle. I mean, we had Roselle in 1928. Tapos ngayon lang uli nagkakaroon. So I'll be doing I'll still continue doing research on Filipino foodways, and then I'll try to break internationally to be known, not as Ige, but to present. Kasi okay, I'm not the first one. Marami na. I mean, I did my research. Tita Nora Dasa break in that like international restaurant scene. LJC, Larry Cruz, my mentor also. Ang dami-dami.
Correct.
Ang dami like food writers, in fact, food bloggers, they should look for the books of Tita Chona Trinidad. I mean, Nancy, like, we know Tita Chona very well. Chona Trinidad's one of the best food writers, pero underappreciated.
With a
Typewriter. And she has a book. And then if you want to read her, I mean, ang dami-dami, even before like, of course, like Tita Hilda Cordero, who recently passed away, Doreen Fernandez, of course, Feliz, Mickey, and all these wonderful editors, Nancy. I mean, they all like really contributed. Ngayon, ang bala ko is like, it's not through a restaurant or not through a parang lifestyle publication. Kasi nagawa na yun eh. Ngayon, I'm targeting talaga scholarly publication, and then at the same time making it mainstream.
Eh di mag-book tour ka.
Yun nga. So I'm like, after the I'm collaborating now with friends. Yung merong isang unsung food anthropologist who lives in the States. Si Benedicto Maranyon. So he's my mentor. We were together in CCP in the late 70s, but he pursued also that kind of and I'm really planning to make parang yung and making friends with the Filipino diaspora in Australia, in the United States, in Europe. So meron na tayong connection sa Europe, sa England. In fact, I have like Houston, no? So yun, so haba nung sinabi ko. But Maria Orosa will be a household name in the next 5 years
Nice.
because of this book, and then and it will be a certified bestseller.
Magaling
Yun lang yung naisip ko. So you really have to think about things that's bigger than yourself, and really like do things that will be beneficial to the community. Yun lang lagi yung isipin natin, kasi nahihilig tayo dun sa cult following, yung personality following. So medyo i-focus natin yung spotlight dun sa malalaking bagay na pwedeng makatulong at mapaangat tayo, no? As a nation, no?
At saka bawas ganito.
Oo, bawas selfie.
All right. Ang galing,
Okay.
galing. All right. Thank you again. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you so much.
Galing.
So,
We learned a lot from you again. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and I think a lot of the younger generation would really also help, help learn from what you're doing. And I think we're in the age nga na a lot more and more people are appreciating Filipino culture, in
Yeah.
food. And at the same time, what I like about this next 10 years is parang the diaspora is getting together. Na
Correct.
feel mo yun because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Kasi dati parang the US US lang kayo, Philippines lang tayo. But ngayon hindi na. See, Nancy is in Houston and we're bridging all this diaspora also, no? And parang there's interest on both ends. Hindi lang isang end, 'di ba? Parang we're also interested with them.
Saka it's a symbiotic relationship, no? Nagbibigayan. Hindi lang isa yung receiver tsaka isa yung giver. But it's a give and take. It's no longer a one-way love affair.
Can I say something also?
Yes.
Dapat magpakwento kayo sa mga lolo, lola, nanay, tatay, tita nyo. Kahit minsan boring, akala nyo, hindi. Kasi pagtanda nyo, maaalala nyo yun.
Oo, kaya lang tayo na yung lolo at saka lola, Nancy. Tayo na yung mga lolo tsaka lola. Di ba?
But oral history for me is very important also.
Oral and local history.
Yes.
All right. And sabi nga ni Marinerong Kusinero, maraming salamat po. And happy Independence Day to all.
Ayan, mabuhay ang Pilipinas.
Mabuhay. Medyo bitin, pero ang dami kasing kwento ni Ige. I'm sure.
Oo nga
Biting-bitin, but I think thank you so much for sharing and thank you for watching on the live stream and on the replay. Maraming salamat.
Maraming Kusinero, salamat.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Anton, for having me.
All right.
Ayan, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oy, si Tito, siya yun. Si Tito, thanks.
Hello.